Our meeting. Welcome to the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting of Monday, July 20th. Will the secretary take the roll, please?
Can't hear. I can't hear.
Mute myself. Mr.
Andrew,
Stepanek?
Go ahead.
Mr. Stepanek? Can you hear me?
You need to be off mute, Dan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Stepanek,
Here.
present. Yep. Ms. Jameson, present. Ms. Brunali,
Present.
Mr. Dobbin,
Here.
Ms. Kirby,
Here.
Ms. Matrakis,
Here.
Mr. Perkins,
Here.
Ms. Woike,
Here.
Ms. Ross,
Here.
Mr. Sillo.
We know he's here, right?
He's absent.
He's on, isn't he on audio?
No, Anthony Sillo is not present this evening,
Oh, okay. All right.
or has not joined the meeting at this point in time.
All right. So we have no alternates to seat. You all have a copy of tonight's agenda. Any comments, corrections? If not, can I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve, Dan.
A second, please.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 15th, 2020. You'll have a copy of that. Any comments? If not, can I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve again.
Second? I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Dan, I'm just going to abstain because I wasn't present.
Okay. All right. Application number, you have two agendas, two applications for the September 15th meeting at your desk, or you will have. I'm sorry, they're not at your desk, but we have two applications for the September 15th meeting. One is the application number 2021-02, and that's 2291 South Bald Road. And then the second application we have listed here is number 2021-02, 337 Valley Road. And as Kathleen said in an earlier email, instead of hearing that application on September 15th, we'd like to do a special meeting if we possibly can in early August. And I need to see a raise of hands if you're okay with that. Kathleen, would you kind of like to describe why we want to go to a special meeting?
Sure. At this point in time, as the commission members would like to unmute themselves, that's fine. Just a point of business, Anthony Sillo has joined the meeting, so I just want to recognize that he has joined the meeting. So for the application that's being received tonight, the one of the two for a 337 Valley Road, the request is specific to the dewatering of a large pond that four property owners along Valley Road share. The only request is to dewater. Right now, the flows are low in the river, and we don't normally have a regularly scheduled meeting. So in order to accommodate the request, I would have to schedule a special meeting as long as I could get a quorum together for that meeting. So the applicant would make a presentation on the date that you choose, and we would do a Zoom meeting. I'd do an agenda, and they would explain what the activity is. The first possible date for a special meeting would be August 5th. So I threw that date out there to see if we could get see if anyone was available and agreeable to do the special meeting for that application.
Kathleen, would this be a Zoom meeting?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
No site visit is required for this either.
And I'm available on the 5th of August, but not during the work day. It would need to be kind of early evening for me.
What time are you talking about?
I'm sorry?
What time are you talking about?
Well, I expect I could make 6 o'clock if you wanted, if we wanted to do that, but 6 or 6:30, 7.
We might as well do this same time. But is there anyone, would you all approve a special meeting on August 5th around 7 o'clock?
What day is that?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
I, for one, cannot make that. I've already got an online event that evening.
I'm good with it. We'll be in Maine, but if we're Zooming, it's not a problem. And I actually I actually visited both sites today.
Oh,
I don't know, just got ambitious, I guess. Because I wasn't sure if I was going to be here in August.
so Kristen is the only one that could not make 7 o'clock on August 5th? All right, Kathleen, where are you?
Yes, as long as I have a quorum, I will schedule the agenda for a special meeting on August 5th at 7 p.m. to hear application number 20-2102 for 337 Valley Road and additional properties regarding dewatering of that pond in order to inspect it and gather data.
Good. All right, good.
Okay.
Now we'll open the regular meeting, application number 19-2035, 75 Pheasant Drive. Denise B. Finn, agent Jean Nazaro Inc. Where is Jean? Is he here?
I see Ross Mazzaro is going to be representing them this evening, I believe. Just trying to unmute him.
Oh, I see. All right.
Okay, Ross, we also have Denise Finn and her husband Steve are on the phone as well, are on the call. How would you like to start?
So can you hear me or
Yeah.
can you hear me? Yes.
I think everyone can hear you. Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Good evening. Ross Nazaro Incorporated, representing Mr. and Mrs. Finn for the pond restoration at their residence 75 Pheasant Drive. I'll screen share the proposed plan with you that I believe you all have a copy of. Is that working there?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the residence is located right here. We have a driveway coming into the pond, which is located behind the house. The inlet comes from this bridge area right here and exits out the pond on this side. You'll see the blue area that's shaded in the pond. This area is our phase 1 pond restoration. The owners do not wish to dredge and restore this second area, which actually has some depth to it right now. The proposed phase 1 has silted in considerable amount, and we are going for the full application. However, they wish to only execute phase 1 at the current time. Our proposed plan is to bypass the water through the inlet stream around to the exit outlet stream, and then pumping the water, dewatering from within the pond into a proposed dirt bag sediment system located on the far shore here. Our excavator and equipment access would be off the driveway. It's a short distance off the driveway. And the excavator would set up on the shore, excavate, and load all material off-site.
Is that your presentation?
It's very
Okay.
relatively straightforward, and
So they would only do part of this at when? In the spring or when? Now?
no, we do it during a low flow time of year, preferably now,
Yes, there's actually no water coming into it at this point.
there's very minimal flow.
It's very dry.
I had a question about how, looking at the map, I was trying to figure out how are you going to remove the sediment and the bag?
Sediment in the bag, we'll be able to get a small machine back there to remove it. And
Going which way? Like, how will you get there?
around the back side of this pond, we have timbers that we can cross the inlet stream with. That inlet stream is maybe only 5 feet wide.
Okay, and what kind of machine are you talking about?
Low impact skid steer with track skid steer, be low ground bearing, so it doesn't have much impact on the ground. It would be a one-time in, a one-time out, just to remove the bag. Everything else would be brought off by hand.
So would you
Silk
have to put
fence.
would you have to put anything on the ground to protect the upland area there?
For below the bag,
When you're to get the machine in to remove the bag.
we'd use either plywood if it's necessary.
Okay, and to fill the bag, is that the machine that you're using? Is that just does it have an arm that's gonna reach that bag? Is that how the silt is gonna get into the bag?
The bag is strictly for dewatering purposes. It's only to filter out any sediment during the dewatering process. No sediment is pumped into it from the removal of sediment. So it's almost no sediment, and most likely the bag could be removed by hand, but in the event that there is enough sediment that it needs to be removed with a machine, we would do that with a small skid steer.
So you said that you would put plywood down if necessary, if you have to bring machinery in to remove the bag. How do you define if necessary? What are those circumstances?
It's really if we need to protect the ground if it's wet. I don't anticipate needing to get a machine back there because we're only using this bag for dewatering. Most of the time you can remove them by hand. This is only a 7-foot by 15-foot bag that the water is pumped into. It traps any sediment that's suspended in the water column during dewatering, and the water is then flowed downstream through the outlet. So once we stop pumping, the bag will deflate and there's really nothing left inside the bag.
So it's a contingency plan then when you're talking about perhaps having to bring in machinery around the back of the pond and then perhaps having to put plywood down if the ground is wet.
Correct. And a lot of times you could reach that also with the excavator, putting a rope onto the bag and pulling it off. They're self-contained.
Right.
And maybe weighs at the end, it might weigh 150 pounds. We're not talking something extremely heavy.
Can I jump in for a second?
Yes.
Who's speaking?
It's Anthony Sillo.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to speak because I don't know if I'm an alternate or not tonight. But just a question for you. What size is the machine that you're going to be using for the excavator? And will it have rubber tracks? At the same token, I would also like to think that plywood walking the machines in and out would probably be a requirement. I don't know if anyone agrees with me on that.
What do you think, Ross?
The size excavator that we'd be using is a 12-ton excavator. It does not have rubber tracks, Anthony, but but we have 50 foot of reach with it. So the pond could be reached from the near shore.
Okay. All right. And then you think we could walk that in with plywood, or do you think it's just a one? I'm trying to look at the map here. It's a pretty short span to the driveway, you said?
It's maybe 30 feet to the driveway, and that would all be set on timber mats, the machine. All work is on the
Gotcha.
near side of the
Okay.
pond is all set using timber mats. The machine sits atop of that. So
Okay.
it offers really no impact to the ground.
Perfect. That's all I need to know, sir. Thank you.
And the machines are equipped with vegetable oil for hydraulic oil in case of a leak as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Biodegradable.
Ross, let me ask you a question. How is the pond fed? And let me just explain that to you. When I went out there, and Kathleen and I went out there, there seems like there's a brook on the northern part of the property that goes down the northern part all the way from west to east. And that is the main brook that where the water drains into east. And then the part that doesn't, the overflow from that brook drains into the pond. Am I making sense on that? You know what I mean?
You're correct. There is a
Oh,
water course that flows the north side of the property, and really the only flow that comes into this pond is during a extreme water event, or not. Basically, right now we have no flow into this pond. It's relatively dry, but I have been there and seen it during storm events and in the spring, where the water is bypassing into this pond and exiting back into that same water course.
Dan, can I chime in? It's
Sure.
Kathleen.
Sure.
Couple of housekeeping things. Anthony, we're happy to have you join us tonight. You are just an alternate this evening, not just an alternate, but you were not seated earlier. I know you joined the meeting a few minutes late. You're welcome to participate in the discussion, but obviously not vote. If each commission member, before they speak, could identify themselves for the record, that's helpful when we're doing these types of Zoom meetings. And to clarify some things, I think confusion perhaps in the different types of dredging, I think what Peggy was perhaps thinking about was the type of dredging where it's dive assisted dredging, and they literally vacuum and put all of the material into the heavy bags, and those do need to be taken away by big machinery. This type of dredging that the Nazaros do, they are only filtering out the pumped water and some of the stirred up sediment. Ross, correct me if I'm incorrect on this. So the bag that he's using is much smaller and able to be managed differently than what you may have seen on other types of dredgers, where they are using the 60-foot long bags and all of their sediments going to the bag. These guys are hydraulically dredging and pulling the main sediment to the shoreline, letting that dewater. That then gets loaded onto trucks and hauled off site. So the bag is relatively small and sized purposefully for the type of dredging that he's doing. Is that helpful, Peggy?
Yes, thank you.
So I have a question. This is Angela Jameson, following on from Dan's questions about the inlet and outlet. So this is a man-made pond. What would the situation have been here prior to the construction of the pond? Was there actually a stream that came through this part of the property, or was the channel created from the brook at the north of the property and then an outlet created too? What do we think this was before the pond was constructed?
I'm not sure this was a man-made pond, or this was a pond that was created through diverted water naturally, or man-made, but it's been in existence for quite some time now, and I can't weigh in on whether this was man-made or not. Possibly the homeowners have some prior knowledge of that, or Kathleen, but I'm not. I do not.
Kathleen Holland for the record, the soil scientist did mention that it was a man-made pond. The inclination, looking at it and the positioning of it off, that's called, I believe it's I want to say it's Poorhouse Brook on the northern, or what's the, I'm not sure which direction that would be, the northwestern side of the property. So this does appear to be a man-made pond with the inlet and the outlet designed many years ago. It's not been dredged to my knowledge in the 30 years or so. And the Finns have lived there for a period of time, but I don't know if either Mr. or Mrs. Finn would like to add any historical knowledge or information that they have. They're welcome to do so.
Kathleen, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so my understanding is that the house was built in, I think, 1967 or 1968. We didn't purchase the house until 1998. So we've been here for 22 years, but the pond was here in its present configuration when we bought the house. I have seen it referred to on prior maps as a man-made pond, but I can't tell you how it was created, when it was actually created. But you know, as I said, it was here when we bought the house. I do think the prior owners, who were the Peets, I think they told us that at one point they had it dredged, but I didn't find any evidence of that, and I don't think Kathleen did either, that a permit was issued in the past for that. So this is the first time we filed an application since we've owned the house. And again, we don't know exactly how it was created or when it was created.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That was Steve Finn for the record.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yes.
I have a question. This is George Perkins. I noticed along the southern or the southern side, or the side toward the house, there were three pipes for, it looks like, what is that from? Is that from the septic field? What is the origination of that water that goes into the pond from that area?
This is Steve Finney and Mr. Perkins. I think that those were pipes that were either draining from the driveway or from our gutters and roof system. Many of them are no longer functioning, is my understanding. You might have observed that one or two of them are actually broken and peeking through the surface. We need to get that taken care of. I don't believe they have any connection to the septic system at all.
Okay, great. Thank you.
They did not. Been out there in a rain event, and they're not functioning and silted in.
Yeah, this is Dan Stepanek. What about the rest of the pond? I know there's no plans to dredge that. Is it because it's not needed, or you just you're going to do it in phases?
Mr. Stepanek, again, Steve Finn speaking again. You know, the dynamics of this pond are kind of tricky, and I don't pretend to be an inland wetlands expert, but it can get very, very dry. As you've heard, we don't get a lot of flow sometimes, and I'm a little concerned that if we make it too deep, we're just going to aggravate the point when the water's low. So we want to sort of take it in steps and see how we do. It's clear that when it does start to get very, very dry, it's the southern end, which we don't plan to dredge, seems to retain water pretty well now. And from an aesthetic point of view, I really don't want to, you know, go too fast, too quick, too far, too fast. So we're going to take a step back and see, assuming that's okay with the commission.
And currently, right now, to Mr. Finn's point there, the northern end of the pond almost has no water standing currently, and is impeding the flow into the pond. But the southern half of the pond, currently, even in our drought situation, is still holding about 2 feet of water, I would say, if not more.
So this is Angela Jameson. We're being asked to approve an application for both phase 1 and phase 2, I think, this evening. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes,
And so if when you move to phase 2, you would essentially use the same logistics to remove any sediment, if that's what you decide to do?
Correct. The same sequence.
Right, and the equipment would be in this, and the bag would be in the same place.
Exact same.
Thank you.
Sorry, this is Colin Dobbin. I had the same question. So with regard to phase 2, there's some information about erosion controls, for instance, here, but I would assume that there'd be a supplemental submission to explain the additional details of phase 2. Is that not correct?
Phase 2 would be the exact same process as phase 1 with the same erosion control measures as
Okay, well,
phase 1.
I guess maybe that's the issue. It's sort of very general about what the erosion controls are going to be, for instance, on this. Just says they're going to be consistent with the regulations.
Silt fence and filtration systems. Other than that, there's really no disturbance of soils around the pond beyond any within the pond. So everything, all work really is within the pond from the shore. There is loading of material off-site. We're working off of an asphalt surface. There really is no need for anything other than standard erosion control measures.
So there's no disturbance outside of the pond itself, is what you're saying?
Correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
This is Dan Stepanek again. Keep in mind that this permit, if we approve it, this application, and if we approve it, is for 5 years. So you'd have to complete the pond dredging in a 5-year term. If not, you'd have to come back to us.
Correct. We're aware of that.
Okay.
And phase 2 would not be done without notification of inland wetlands. As we'd start phase 1, it would be notified as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have one follow-up question.
Yes, go ahead.
Kathleen Holland for the record. The only thing that perhaps could change is your dewatering pit detail. You might relocate that closer to your area where you might where phase 2 dredging might occur. But honestly, I would communicate with Ross on those details when and if the Finns decided to proceed with phase 2. I think it is probably very smart and wise in their case to do the phase 1 and see how the pond reacts, because it is a little unusual in that the sediment load is on the northern side of the pond. The southern side of the pond virtually looks pretty good. It's not deep, but I think taking it in a phased approach probably is wise to determine how to go through the next phase should you want to do that.
Any other questions, comments? Can I hear a motion?
I move approval of the plan of the application.
I'll second.
Who seconded it?
Kristen Natrakis.
Kristen, okay. All those in favor, raise your hands, but I'm going to ask you if all those that are not in favor, but I'd like to know your names because I haven't got the pictures of all your photos up in front of me. So I need to know if there's anyone not in favor of it, okay? Or we do. Okay. Anyone not in favor of the dredging? So everyone's in favor, so motion's carried. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Finn, for being the client as opposed to the lawyer for once.
Mr. Dobbin, you know that old phrase, the lawyer who represents himself
Yes,
is a fool for a client. So there you go. Thank you
absolutely.
very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving right along, application number 19-2036, 554 North Wilton Road. Albert Vasco, Attorney Albert Vasco, First Taxing District.
Good evening. My name is Frank Murphy, counsel for the district, and Attorney Vasco is with me during this presentation tonight. Also present with me is Donald Euchers, the district engineer, Michael Elliott, Director of Water Operations and Project Engineer, and Raina Balbalski of the environmental firm of Ty and Bond, who's our environmental scientist involved with the wetland. This is an application for a temporary permit for the Milne Dam. The proposal is to have a project that goes through the plunge pond at the base of the dam. The total project time is approximately 1 month. As part of the Connecticut Dam Safety Program, administered by the State Department of Environmental and Economic Protection, the dam is inspected every 2 years by our consultant, GZA Geoenvironmental. The Department of Environmental and Economic Protection has authorized a subsurface exploration program to obtain data to support an updated, detailed stability analysis for the dam. In order to do that, they have to do certain studies. So this is a very limited project, limited to the base of the dam. I think you have before you our presentation, and I'd like to put up on the screen the information so that we can refer to it during this presentation. The first slide gives some information. This is a copy of the original 1945 plan for the dam. If we can show the length of the dam is approximately 900 feet long, and that's assuming a north-south orientation. This dam goes from west to east. Within the middle of the dam, roughly, is a spillway which is approximately 200 feet in length. The total dam height is 75 feet, and the plunge pool is at the bottom of the spillway. If we go on to the next slide, we put in some pictures of the original 1945 construction, just to show you some information about the dam construction and its width. On the left-hand picture, we show some of the construction showing the base of the dam, and in the picture to the right, in the middle, we also show the depth and width of the dam. Going on to the next slide, this shows other construction within the area that's now underneath the water area of the dam. If we go on to the next slide, there are 4 parts to this in the application. In the upper left-hand corner, it shows a schematic of the dam, showing first where the plunge pool is located, and then it shows a line which is where the temporary access to the base of the dam is located. Just below that is the temporary storage area. The bottom left-hand shows an aerial photograph of a portion of the dam, showing first North Wilton Road, which runs across the bottom to the intersection of Valley Road. The area to cross from North Wilton Road to the base of the dam. Going over to the two right-hand photographs, first at the top, it shows the spillway. The area of the exploration is at that blue line, which crosses the plunge pond. The area is 15 to 20 feet wide and approximately 55 feet long. That area will be filled with gravel, which will be stored initially as part of the construction in an upland area where the arrow is now, and is also shown on the map to the left. The gravel which will be used for the access way is brought initially to the staging area in the upland area. This is a pretty high and dry location and outside of the wetland. It'll then be built as the access way to the base of the dam, and the test borings performed. After the work is completed, the gravel will be stored temporarily in the same upland area until it dries out, and then removed elsewhere for use on other projects elsewhere by the district. In the bottom aerial photograph, it shows the area of the plunge pond, which is the approximate location of the pond and about the same length as the spillway. The depth varies at the base of the plunge pond, but where the work is being performed, it's between 2 feet deep and 4.5 feet deep. So it's not a very deep filling of the area. Going on to the next slide, we have photographs of the access from North Wilton Road. In the left-hand photograph, you're looking at North Wilton Road and the entrance to the dam property. As you can tell, certainly at this time of the year, and actually most of the year, you cannot see the dam from North Wilton Road. The right-hand photograph shows the roadway where the trucks will bring in the gravel. We anticipate approximately 10 to 12 truckloads of gravel will be brought in to build the access way. If we go on to the next slide, these are two views. The left-hand view is towards the west side of the immediately that vehicle that's parked there is where the actual small wetland area is. And then in the right-hand photograph, it shows the spillway, and right in the approximate middle of the photograph is where the access way will be built. If we could go on to the next slide, it shows specifically where the access way is to be located. Once that access way is built, trucks will drive across that for the purpose of a single boring at the base of the dam. The next slide shows the proposed boring. In order to perform these borings, it has to be done on an angle so that you get the full depth. The boring will be through the bedrock inside the dam, and will be approximately 30 to 40 feet deep. On the next slide is a depiction of the wetland. The area in yellow is the actual wetland, and then the upland area, including to the right of that, is where the gravel will be stored before and after. At this point, I'd like to turn it over for a moment to our wetlands consultant, Raina Volvalski, to describe the wetlands and her studies.
Hey everybody, Raina Volosky with Ty and Bond. I'm a professional wetland scientist and a certified professional soil scientist. My coworker, who is pictured here on the right, and I visited the site October 10th, 2018. So the area, can you go back a slide? Can you go up to show the whole area? Thank you. So the area investigated is the yellow area. We did walk from the road in, so we also took a look in that area and we didn't see any wetlands in there. But the main area investigation was this area. So we found the wetland, which is in the green. It's a hillside seep that comes out. So there was water actually flowing when we were there. The hydrologic indicators, we did see surface water. There was high water table. The soil was saturated. There were water stained leaves in the forested area. There were drainage patterns through the grassy fields, and geomorphic position plays a role in the wetland. So the soils were gray, gravelly, sandy loam with brownish yellow concentrations. It's a hydric soil indicator. The main area of the wetland that will be driven over is it's maintained as mature grass, and the proposed project, I believe timber matting will be used to lay over the wetland to be able to drive over. So impact would be temporary, and the vegetation is going to grow back. I don't think the vegetation is really going to be impacted, and the soil will be negligible. The impact will be negligible. Yeah, so that's the wetlands. It's just a grassy field that gets wet.
All right, and if we could go on to the next slide, it shows photos of the type of drilling rigs that will be used. As you see, they're mounted on a flatbed truck. One boring will be a vertical boring, boring B3, which is outside the wetlands. B2 is closer to the base of the dam and to the spillway, but also outside of the wetlands. And B1 is at the end of the access way where the gravel will be put in order to access the base of the dam, as we show on the plan in blue. As I mentioned, this is a short-term project that will last approximately 30 days. It's a project that has to be accomplished when the water flow is down during the summer months. At the present time, the water in the reservoir is approximately 5 feet below the spillway. If we wait until September or October, the water flow will, in most years, be sufficient that it would prevent carrying out this project. So we have a relatively short window of opportunity. The impact on the wetlands is minimal. The primary purpose of the project is to develop data for the engineer to use to determine what repairs are needed, if any, and also the scope and extent of any work. Ultimately, this will result in if repair work is needed, it will result in an application to the Department of Environmental and Economic Protection for a Section 403 permit under the dam safety program. The customary sedimentation controls for construction of this type will be used. We'll be happy to answer any questions. The other persons here may be able to answer any technical questions that I'm not familiar with. So we would request your approval of the application.
Any questions, anybody?
I have a
Well,
question.
go ahead.
Commissioner Brunelli, you mentioned that the gravel used at
Identify
this,
yourself, please.
Commissioner Brunelli,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you indicated that the gravel used at this site will be dried out and then reused at another site.
Yes.
Will the gravel used in this project be gravel that has been used previously, or will it be new gravel?
As far as I know, it'll be new gravel.
Okay.
It will be new gravel. We're buying it new from a contractor who will put it in.
Okay, that's fine.
And
I
then
was just concerned if it was, I was just
once it's
concerned if
dried
it was
out, I'm sorry.
Go
No, no.
ahead. Beth, go ahead.
Oh, I was just concerned if it was being reused, that it might introduce something into the environment that's not currently there. That was my only concern. So you adequately answered the question.
No, it will not be used gravel and not introduce any adverse effects to the present environment of the dam.
Yeah, this is Dan Stepanek. Can you expand on the purpose a little bit more? Is it that you're trying to learn if water might seep under the dam, or you're trying to determine how the strength of the dam, or well, if somebody could expand on that, I would appreciate it.
All right, well, we're trying to determine the stability of the dam, but I'll let Mr. Euchers or Mr. Elliott address it in more detail.
This is Mike Elliott. I work for the First District. There's a bunch of facets, as you said. One is to see what the water level is like underneath the dam in terms of the water pressure. And another is really just how strong is the foundation? How strong is the rock that the dam is sitting on? And also how well the dam is adhered to the foundation. They showed the picture earlier. There was a approximately 30-foot excavation in order to find good bedrock to found this dam on. But so in order to refine the stability analysis, yeah, this is a good picture, because what's holding the dam in place is the conditions at the base with the foundation, and also just, you know, the sheer mass of it. And we did some initial stability analyses which used very conservative assumptions on the foundation, and we found that those were inconclusive. So we need to get much more definitive data about that foundation interface and be able to send that material to a lab to have them analyze it. And that will give us a much more precise stability analysis, which, as Mr. Murphy said, would then allow us to complete the design for remediation if necessary. Does that answer your question?
Dan, you're muted.
Dan, your mic is on mute. I unmuted you. Go ahead.
Did you hear the answer to the question from Mike?
We did hear Mike's answer. I'm still trying to get Dan off mute.
Oh, okay.
Dan, your mic is still on mute.
Mute, okay.
There you
No.
go.
Am I okay now?
Yes, you are. We didn't hear anything you said, so you'll have to start over.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Okay. No, I just, I wanted to think about what you said and, and if there's anyone else that has any comments or questions while I was thinking through, what would happen if you didn't do these sort of analysis? Every 2 years? Is that what you said, every 2 years?
Well, under the dam safety inspection program, the dam is inspected by our consultant every 2 years, and then the consultant makes recommendations for any work that needs to be done. Many times it's very minor work, but this is a more detailed study that is really as far as we know right now, a one-time boring program to determine the stability of the dam. The engineering firm, GZA, will take the data of the 3 borings and other data that it has and make a recommendation to the district and to DEEP as to any work that it would recommend. It may be minor, it may be more significant, but that's something that the study will help determine.
I see.
This is Angela Jameson. It sounded from the application as though you really don't have much choice in the sense that this is something that DEEP has required under the dam safety plan. You've been required to undertake these tests. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Based upon an inspection which is now 4 years old, DEEP recommended several minor items and then also requested as part of its safety exploration to do these borings to find out more information.
So that's something you're required to do by DEEP within a certain time frame?
Not within a certain time frame, but on the other hand, DEEP doesn't want to let this go on indefinitely. We have no specific time limit right now within which to complete this, but every 2 years we have to report our progress on any suggestions or requirements that DEEP has.
Thank you. And could you just explain what a piezometer is?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm going to let one of my experts do that.
Mike, you want to take that?
Hi, this is Mike Elliott again. A piezometer is a fancy way of saying, it's a hole in the ground or through the concrete that allows us to measure the water surface, the water level within the dam, or within the foundation material.
Okay, thank you.
This is Dan again, Dan Stepani. Will you be using divers to do some of this work?
No.
No?
I'm not. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, I cut you off. It's Mike Elliott again. No, there's no need for any divers for the work that's currently proposed.
All right.
This is Colin Dobbin. I do have one more question. It's a Class C high hazard rating. Does that mean, is that based on the number of people downstream from this and the damage that it could cause if the dam were to fail?
The dam is not in danger of failing.
I understand
And on the other hand, part of the dam safety program is to make sure that dams never fail. And that's why DEEP and the district want to do the exploratory study now of the base of the dam to make sure that we're planning ahead to avoid any future difficulty.
Okay.
Anyone else? Kathleen?
Mike Elliott can probably chime in this as well. Class C dams are rated by the state of Connecticut, I believe, on their height and their size. So I think that was your initial question, Colin.
Yeah.
Mike, maybe you could just elaborate a little bit further on, in your description and purpose of proposed project, it indicates that the drill material spilling from the core will be captured before entering the plunge pool and be disposed of in a proper manner. Do you have further information from GZA on how that might be accommodated so nothing gets downstream?
Yeah, it's Mike Elliott again. It'll be collected and taken off site. It'll probably wind up in the garbage at my filter plant. You know, most of it we'll be collecting as corings, but there is just a little bit of, you know, when you're like sawdust, but you know, the concrete dust that will be, you know, collected and taken away as garbage.
Thank you.
Anyone? I can't see everybody. Has anyone had their hand up? If anyone wants to speak, go ahead and do it. Identify.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I think it was Mike who took us to the site. It was very helpful. Thank you, Mike.
How much water is in there? How much water does this hold back? Anyone?
This is Mike Elliott again. When it's full, it's, I forget the exact number, about 650 million gallons.
Oh boy.
This particular dam is partly in New Canaan, about 2/3 of New Canaan, and the other third of it is in Lewisboro. I believe the total acreage is about 330 acres.
And in what cities use the water?
It provides public water primarily for the city of Norwalk. About 40% of the city of Norwalk is served by the First District. There are additional customers in Wilton and in New Canaan.
Anyone else? Kathleen?
I missed Penny on the last application. I just want to make sure that if she has a question that she can ask it. So I'm going to unmute her and let her chime in. I'm trying to unmute her. Let's see.
I have no comment on this application. It's on the earlier one, on the pheasant.
Okay. Sorry about that, Penny.
That's okay. I just thought it'd be polite to you know, send you a message that I had a comment, so it's fine.
Thank you.
Do you see any special conditions at all, Kathleen?
The only thing that came to mind as Raina was speaking is she indicated that the small amount of wetlands that need to be crossed on the, let's call it the grassed wetlands, that they would likely use like a timber frame or some sort of matting. When we did our site visit with Don, he indicated the same. I think that the fact that they're indicating that that's what they would do to protect that wetlands is good. I don't know that it needs to be added as a special condition as well, because they've already stated that they would do that. And I honestly couldn't think of, I don't really have any other anything that pops out. I think the plan's very well developed. You know, DEP sort of shepherded him through the information that they're trying to gather from the water company, and the water company is trying to comply with those directives from the state of Connecticut Dam Division. 30 days, hopefully they'll be done efficiently, and with Mother Nature agreeing would be good. And I wish them well on their project.
All right, thank you. I mean, when I went out there, it is really quite a sight, what you see. I had no idea. I lived in New Canaan since '87 that even existed. So it was an eye opener for me personally. Can we have a motion to approve this?
I'll move to approve, Dan. Column here.
All right.
I'll second.
George, is that you?
Yes. Oh, this is George. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen, is there anything you might want to address with the administrative actions?
Items 10 through 13 were issued. I just want to call to your attention. Number 13, I had a copy and paste error. It is actually 75 and 76 Turtleback Lane West. It is not Turner Hill Road. So that was an activity for Turtleback Lane West, which is underway. The other applications are all actually started. There's quite a bit of construction activity getting going in New Canaan, and all's going well. It's very busy, despite COVID-19.
Does anyone else have other business? Anything else you want to discuss?
I just had a question, actually. So for the August 5th meeting, it's the Valley Road application that's up currently. Is that right, Kathleen? And that's it? That's the only one?
That's the only one we'll be taking up. I think it will be 15 minutes at the most.
Okay.
I
That's where I was going with it.
Like a winner.
And then the September 15th meeting will deal with the, I guess, Bald Hill, right? 291 South Bald Hill.
That's correct, and we will do site visits similar to how we've done them this last round. The owner there, when we get closer to that meeting, if everyone could let me know when they intend to go, because the owner would like to be notified when folks are coming out. So if I could get you to let me know when you're thinking about doing that site visit, let the owner know that your site visit would be likely not until September and closer to the meeting.
And
easy site visit.
And for Valley Road, 337 Valley Road, we're not doing site visits?
No, no site visit is needed for that. You can go and look at it if you wanted to, but literally they're going to pump the water out of the pond. You will see a subsequent pond dredging project next year. So that's when you'll really need to go visit the site and look at what they come in with for an actual pond dredging project.
Right. Okay, so it's just taking the water out, so we don't need to go out and take a look. We'll go out and take a look when it looks really beautiful with no water in it, yes.
So Kathleen, the date of the September meeting is what again? Could you repeat it? I don't have it on my calendar.
I believe we had said, what was that, September?
I think.
September 14th. You know,
Okay.
you know, I sometimes have a vacation scheduled for our normal meeting date in September. So when we schedule our meeting for the year, it was September 14th. Right now, we are scheduled to meet September 14th.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Is there any indication of when we might be meeting again, or we're going to continue Zoom for the foreseeable future?
Dan, you have to unmute yourself. No, we are currently proceeding with Zoom meetings. There's no indication at this point in time that Town Hall will be resuming in-person meetings for any boards or commissions. If you're familiar with some of the other boards and commissions, they also are doing Zoom meetings. And I want to thank all of you because you're doing a terrific job. We're all learning as we go on this. I think we're getting a lot more experience with Zoom. So I appreciate everyone's willingness to do this. And I think the meeting went well tonight. This is my first time trying to moderate on my own. Sal is in the background. Hopefully he'll give me a thumbs up on how we all did tonight. But I appreciate everyone doing the extra effort and also doing the site visits. I also have masks that I was going to put in the mail to everyone. So I've got a couple masks for you guys. I think you at least earn that when you're going out and doing site visits. So check your mailbox. They're individually sealed. I will put those in the mail to everyone this week so that you'll
Do
have
they have
them.
the New Canaan logo on them?
And no logo, but I could put one on.
Okay.
Gotta have a logo.
Inland Wetlands logo.
Okay, you got it.
Okay.
I went to the site today and did the commission reviews and wrote down all of the addresses because I wasn't sure where we were going to be. And I've already made the site visit to both of the sites, and I think you'll enjoy it, both of them.
That's a good heads up. All righty, can I hear a motion to adjourn?
I just want to say one thing. I'm very sorry that I haven't been at the meetings, guys. I have a 7-week-old that was born on Memorial Day. I will now probably be at the meetings more often now that things calm down at the house, but I appreciate you guys moving on without me, and I'll be around next time for sure.
Well, congratulations on the birth of the baby.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have the main excuse anymore.
A boy or a girl?
Baby boy, Anthony Michael Sillo Jr.
Oh,
Oh,
wonderful.
that's great. That's great.
So
You have to bring him. You have to bring him to a meeting.
we will. We definitely will. But just with all the COVID going on with the hospital, and it's just
Yeah,
it was
of
just very
course.
crazy. So I appreciate you guys being patient, and I will definitely be around more often.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Stay
Bye.
safe.
Bye.
We'll see you in August. Bye.
Good
Bye-bye.
job, Kathleen.
Thank you.